Thank you all again for joining, wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'm based in London, so it's just gone 6:20 my time here. So immediately after this, I shall be going off for dinner. And so let's move on here a little bit, okay? So essentially, I want to show you a couple of things about the platform itself. So Abby's done a great job in terms of describing the architecture and kind of the philosophy, if you like, and where the thinking is in terms of the product. And even the short time that I've been here, which has been a little bit over 2.5 years, I've seen sort of incredible innovation during that time. From it being just a database management system based around relational technology with some multi-model capabilities to the kind of all of the features and functions that Abby described. It's become a true sort of data platform. And so we'll look at some of those capabilities today. Obviously, time, as always, is the enemy. There's only so much we can cover. So my colleague Diogo will share a small CSV file as well, okay, which I think he will do that in the chat, and you're welcome to download that and try that with me if you like, if you're able to keep up, or you're very welcome to do it a little bit later on. Okay, so the link that was shared a little bit earlier, which I think Diogo has posted in the chat for you as well. And this is for the free trial. Okay, so signing up for the free trial. Let me just, there we go. This thing here. Okay, that's a must. Okay, it will give you the best option to test out the software for yourself. Okay, all based in the cloud, as I said before. And what I'll show you is the ability to sort of create a database. We can use a couple of technologies, okay, stages, and I'll use an S3 bucket as well, okay, and I'll show you a little bit of querying of the data as well. And so I'll show you a couple of techniques around this, all right? And so essentially that is the slide part of this, which is wonderful. So don't have to show too much today, but let me just make this bigger, okay? So Diogo, Abby, guys, if I'm talking about something and you're not seeing it on the screen, please let me know. Okay, I don't want the audience to be kind of lagging behind. But here is the where the link will take you. Okay, that was shared in the chat, and this is for the free trial sign up. And so, as you can see, I mean, literally, this will take you less than a minute to do. Seriously, I mean, you can use a couple of ways to do this. You can use, sign up with Google or Microsoft, or you can use your first name, last name. Now, it does say company email address. I think a company email address is preferred, although probably Gmail and, Outlook or live.com will work fine as well. And so essentially what you get is, if we take a look on the left-hand side here, okay, just take a look at these capabilities here. So you will get this free shared tier. Okay, this is something that we announced recently, and this is a great way to kind of get started really, really fast. Okay, and I'll show you that in just a moment. It's in preview. Okay, so be aware of that. As with all of these things, you need a little bit of care and attention around some of these preview features. But I can tell you that, in the time that I've been using it, everything has worked in a sort of rock solid way. Additionally, not just that, but this, just below it, you get $600 worth of credits to run SingleStore in a dedicated compute environment. And I'm going to show you that as well today. Okay. And just an FYI, because you might think to yourself, well, $600 is not very much. What can I do with $600? Well, the thing is, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I've been with the company over 2.5 years now. I think it's getting on for nearly sort of 2 years, 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And excuse me, just before I joined, I created a free account. And in those days, the company was giving $500 worth of credits. And the account that I'm going to use today is, I think, the very same account. Now, very generously, SingleStore has given me a bit more sort of, topped me up a little bit in terms of the money that they put into that for me. But it's still very much the case that, if you manage these resources carefully, you don't leave things running continuously, you can make this go a long way. Okay, and it's a great way that if you find that the shared tier is not enough for your needs, you need something a little bit more. This is a great way to do it. And then, of course, if you wish, as Abby was alluding to, I mean, there's other ways that you can try the product as well. We have a Docker container as well, which is a great way to do it. And even there is in the account settings, once you've signed up, there is a license that you can obtain, which is in there, which will give you the opportunity to install a 4-node cluster, and that's free of charge. Okay, we do have some customers that are running that, and that is sufficient for their needs. Okay, but I would highly encourage you, do the cloud version because it's super simple, no risk, great way to learn, and will give you all the capabilities that and the skills that you need to get going and sort of moving very quickly. Okay, so let me show you. So once you've signed up, what you'll see then is when you get into the website, you will see something like this, okay? So essentially, you have this kind of navigation pane on the left-hand side, which has got a whole bunch of controls there. And let me just try and highlight some of these for you, okay? So as you can see, I'm kind of logged in here, and I've blown up the web browser a little bit as well, made the text size larger, okay, so that everything is a bit more visible. But you can see that we are currently at this kind of home page and the start section, okay? And immediately below here, we have the opportunity to actually create some resources. Now, currently, if you look carefully here, you'll see that I've actually got two workspaces running here. One is this starter workspace here, and one is a kind of a standard one, okay? So it's got a bit more in terms of capability and resources that I can use here. And so a really quick way to get started is let me just go to this starter workspace that I have, and you're only allowed one, okay? So what I'm going to do is I am going to shut this down, okay? So let me just go here, okay? And at the top, okay, right at the top here, let me just show my arrow here, over here, is a means for me to terminate starter workspace and drop my database, okay? So automatically, once you've created the starter workspace, you get a database as part of it. So that's gone, all right? That was fast. And so let's recreate that, okay? So all I need to do is, as you can see here, group, okay? Let's try and highlight that for you. There we go. Okay, let's select that. Okay, and can you see here, we've got two options. So on the left-hand side here, we have the option for the starter workspace. Okay, it's pre-selected currently. And on the right-hand side, okay, let me just highlight that for you there. And on the right-hand side, you can see I can switch to and create a standard workspace as well. Okay, and for the starter one, it's free. It says here it's ideal for starting projects and prototyping with SingleStore DB, shared edition. And if you look, it does contain some information on the right-hand side here in terms of the limits, okay? So yes, it's free, but obviously we can't give you unlimited storage and unlimited resources, okay? So you do get 1 GB compressed data objects, 1 database, 10 tables, and then there's a link here to some additional limitations here. As it says, there's a hyperlink there, okay? But it's a great way to start and a very simple way to start. And if we look here, a lot of this information on the left-hand side here, it's all pre-selected for it. You can change this, okay? So here, for example, you can see it's got this default name here, Starter Workspace 1. I'll leave it at that. That's absolutely fine. You can see that the cloud provider here is AWS. I can't speak for product management, possibly, in the future, maybe offered on other platforms. I don't know. Okay, I mean, that is something that may be in the planning stages, but currently AWS is the preferred cloud platform that we use. And then again, in terms of the region, here you can see that currently it's selected as US East 1, North Virginia. Okay. And it's created a database name automatically for me down here, you can see. So it's called database underscore DF809 in my case. And so I could change this, and let me just give it something else here, and I'll just call it database underscore Akmal underscore DB. Okay. It's and because this is shared, I mean, if I choose the name that somebody else is using in this shared environment, it won't allow me. But the thing is, not to worry, okay? What resources you create in this shared environment are protected, okay? They are yours, okay? Nobody else can access them. But because it's a shared space, you have to play well, okay? I mean, that's the thing. And so down here, you can see we just need to click this to create it. And I'll do that. And there we go. And it's almost instantaneous. I mean, that's how fast it is. It's already done for you. So if you look down here, we can see the workspace. Okay, here's the database that I've selected. And I can start using this immediately, okay? And there are several ways that I can work with this. All right, and remember that we had the start here. We looked at a few moments ago. Just beneath it, you can see there's something called gallery here. Okay, so if I click on this, it gives me a whole bunch of resources and notebooks that I can utilize. So, for example, Abby mentioned this MongoDB Atlas SingleStore Kai. Okay, so our product is SingleStore Kai, which provides MongoDB compatibility. And so we've got something here that gives us the ability to run MongoDB queries on SingleStore Kai with no code change. And then there's other things here as well, ingest data from MongoDB to SingleStore using SQL commands, and so on. Okay, there's a lot of resources here. I could click on one of these. Let me just find one that here we've got something that could be very useful. Getting started with notebooks, for example. If I click on this, there we go. Okay, I think I did it too quickly there. Just give it a moment. Okay, there we are. It's just taking a moment or two to load. There we are. So getting started with notebooks, okay? So immediately within this environment, you can see it gives you the assets and loads them up straight away. Now, where is this being stored? Well, if we take a look and just scroll down on the left-hand side, you can see that there is a section here called notebooks, okay? And you can organize your notebooks into sort of two areas. One is sort of personal, okay, that's entirely private to you. And one is under this kind of shared area where you can create notebooks and then actually send the links to other colleagues that you may be working on collaboratively with projects. And again, they would need to have access, excuse me, to your organization, okay, in order to be able to access that. Again, there's stringent sort of controls around that as well, okay? So that gives you a great way to get started. What I'm going to do today is use this sort of the personal space quite a bit, okay? So you've got immediately some assets in the gallery that you can get started working with the notebooks. And this is Python and SQL, okay? And we'll look at a little bit of code with that very shortly. So the starter space, as I said, is free. It's very quick, almost instantaneous in terms of creation. You can be up and running very quickly. Now, yes, I mean, the resources are limited to a point, okay? But the thing is, if you want to try something out very quickly, test some code out, maybe some SQL code, want to load a little bit of data in, you can do that very, very fast. The other mechanism that's available, okay, let me just go back here, and you can see you're only allowed one starter workspace, so now that's kind of ghosted out, so it's not available to me because it's already running. So now I've got the option here for standard. So we get all the functionality of SingleStore DB deployed on it to get dedicated compute. And again, I have some options here. So it's pre-filled in this group name for me. I can change that to whatever I want. I'll leave that as it is for now. I can also choose my cloud provider now. So you can see I've got the several options available. So not only AWS, but I could do GCP, and I can run it on Azure as well. And so for the moment, if I leave it on AWS, I mean, I've got something running, but let's create something else as well. Okay. And then you can choose the region here as well. So in my case, probably, let's see, where is London? Europe West 2, for example. So that's physically closer to me. There's a couple of options here that I think because my account is a little bit old and because I'm a single store employee, there's a few things here that I may get that you may not see necessarily. Okay, it's just because of this, historical reasons this was set up some time ago. And once I've selected that, I can just click the next button down here. Okay. And here is where I get to choose what the workspace name is. Again, it's pre-filled this in for me with workspace 1. I can change that, call it whatever I need for a particular project, for example. And then here I get quite a lot of options in terms of the size. Okay, this thing here. So you can see currently this is the smallest size available. It's an S00. And that gives you 2 virtual CPUs, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and this uses up 0.28 credits per hour. So very generous in terms of compute. But I can change this, okay, by clicking this edit button. And then you can see it gives me quite a lot of options here, all the way down. I mean, some of these are ghosted out, but we have, and if I just move my zoom controls right down at the bottom here, we've got S384, which is a massive 3,072 virtual CPUs, 24 terabytes of RAM, and that uses up a hefty 432 credits per hour. So, I mean, that is for some real heavy lifting if you really want to go that far. But S00 is fine. Okay, just select that size. And then here you can see you have the option if you want to use SingleStore Kai. That comes as part of the offering. Okay, you don't pay anything extra for this. Currently, as you can see, it's enabled. And I'll just disable this auto suspend. Okay, you can actually load a MarTech application sample data set here as well. I'll leave that disabled. And then all I need to do is just say create workspace here. Okay, so let me just do that. Okay, there we go. And I've got something running already. Okay, so this does take a couple of minutes to deploy. Okay, get the resources and deploy it. So it's starting the deployment. And you can see the difference here between this and the shared. I mean, the shared is almost instantaneous, as I said before. Okay, because stuff is running in the background already, and that makes just life a little bit easier in terms of getting going on that. Okay, so this shows you how to get started in terms of the couple of ways that you can, configure and deploy some resources. You can use the starter workspace super fast, or something a bit more dedicated that burns through some credits. And again, the more your requirements in terms of memory and virtual CPUs, the more credits you will burn through. S00 is pretty good for a lot of simple sort of use cases, small scale tests again, POCs, that kind of thing could be very, very useful. And like I said, my account has still got credits since I've been working here. So with this then, in terms of the notebooks then, it's very easy to load something from an external source. Okay, so I've just clicked on notebooks here in the left nav. And then you can see there's an option in the top right-hand side here that it says new notebook. But if you select this, you can either create a new notebook or you can import from a file. Okay, so if you've got an external sort of Jupyter notebook here, and what I could do is I could load something that I've already loaded, but let me put it in the shared space instead, okay? And then just browse files or just drag it. And this is currently looking at my desktop here, so I could pick this particular case here, which is IPython. Okay, and we can just say import notebook here. There we go. And that'll put it into the shared space. There we go. And the thing is, in order to use the notebook environment, you do need to have a workspace up and running already. Okay, so it's a good idea either have the starter workspace or configure something a bit more, in terms of memory and virtual CPUs. And so here, as you can see, we're using a combination of Markdown and some Python. So this is just using 3 different ways to read in the same data into this environment. Okay, so whether I'm using GitHub, for example, okay, this is just publicly available GitHub URL. I'm just reading the file, and this happens to contain data for wines, red wines, I think. This was used for a datathon, hackathon, just very recently. And I was just providing a couple of ways for the students to be able to read the data in using, different mechanisms. So this one is just how to get it in using GitHub. Here's how we could do it using scikit-learn, exactly the same data. Okay, this is a built-in data set using this OpenML. And then, or you could host the file on a Google Drive somewhere. And this is another way that you could read it in. Okay, so 3 methods achieve the same result. Okay, and just depends on how you want to do it. Okay, exactly the same data. And we're just taking a look at it. So we're just looking at the first 5 rows in each case. So regardless of which mechanism you use to get your data into this environment, one thing that you may want to do very quickly then is to say, well, okay, I have this in my Python notebook environment. I've got some data, I've got some CSV data, or you might have some Parquet or something else. You want to be able to format that, and you want to write that into a database. And that can be done very simply. So we have this kind of little bit of magic. Okay, this connection underscore URL. This is picked up automatically from this environment, but it does rely upon this up here being set correctly. Okay, so you do have to tell the Python environment what is the workspace you want to use. Okay, so it might be the starter workspace, for example, here, and the database that you're going to use. And once you've done that, you can execute this code cell. So it knows where to store the data. And then here we can use a little bit of Python here, as you can see, just to write this data into the database. Oops, pardon me. Let me just get this. There we are. Okay. Okay. Now, I've already done this. Okay, let me just show you. Okay, so this is something that I did previously, and you can see a little bit more stuff here in terms of data. So I wrote this data frame, taking one of those data sources, and as you can see here, it tells me it's 1,599 rows. And then as a sanity check, notice here that I've got a little bit of SQL now. So now this cell allows me to run SQL code. Right, so previously I've got Python up top here. Okay, and you can see here that I can choose, okay, whether it's Python, SQL, Markdown, or unknown. In this case, Python is fine. And here I'm just simply querying the table that I've written it to. Remember, the database is already above. Okay, now again, it's kind of lost its context here, simply because I'm switching between tabs. But it allows me to retrieve the data here. So I can mix SQL and Python code cells. I can call SQL from within Python as well. And if you're familiar and you've utilized SQL Alchemy, you know that's very straightforward and easy to use as well. So great way to be able to interact with your data. And the nice thing about the notebook environment is it's very forgiving. You make a mistake, you can just iterate over, okay? Just run it again, try it, and execute the code. So this is all using the shared workspace environment. Now, if you look on the left nav here, you'll see that as part of the other workspace that I created here, okay, which is using the standard approach. Okay, so let me just get my arrow here. Okay, this I have this thing called stage here, which is not available currently for the starter environment. Stage allows me, if I click on this, okay, let me just go over here. Again, this is in preview. So what this does, it allows me to upload data into this environment. The storage space is about 10 gigabytes, I believe. And then each individual file can be up to 5 gigabytes in size. And so when I want to upload something, all I need to do is this, upload new file. Okay, and again, let's browse. So it can take CSV, SQL, JSON, Parquet, gzip, Avro, Snappy, and so on, up to 5 gigabytes in size. So let me just browse this. Okay, and this is the iris.csv file. I think Diogo has posted that into the chat. Okay, so you're welcome to download that and just try it for yourself as well. And then there we go. And then all I need to say is upload the file. Okay, and there we go. And it's done that for me. And there is my file. You can see nothing up my sleeve. There's February 29th, 6:48:39 p.m. It's just done momentarily. Now, one of the cool things about this is that once I've got some data here, I can make use of a very nice feature here. Under Actions, you see these kind of 3 dots. And if I select this, okay, it gives me a couple of options. I can rename, I can download, or I can load to database. And I'm going to select that load to database option. And so now it's asking me, okay, where do you want to store this? Choose a workspace. So workspace 1. And then it's asking for a database. Okay, IrisDB. And if that option is ghosted out, okay, you need to go back and create a database. Otherwise, you won't get any further. And then you can fill in this name in terms of the table. I've selected Iris here, okay? So there's the database, and then there's the workspace, okay? And then all I need to do is down from the bottom, from the right-hand side here, generate notebook. So what it will do, it will take that file and it will create a notebook for me automatically. Okay, let's just give that a moment. And it will load the notebook for me as well. Okay. Let's give that a moment to come up. And essentially it provides me, there we are. Even it's commented. So it gives me the necessary code to be able to create to use the database, in this case, IrisDB, and then it's given me the SQL code. It's created that automatically for me, the create table statement. So in this case, I've got sepal length, petal length, and species, okay, sepal width, petal width as well, and it's created the appropriate data types for them as well, double, 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 and text. Very helpfully created a shard key for me as well. And if I look at the top here, you can see that, yes, it's correctly pointing to my workspace and the right database. So now if I do Shift Enter here, it's executed that and actually created the table for me. And then what it will do here, again, it's provided me with all the necessary code using pipelines, which Abby mentioned. And pipelines are awesome because they can run in parallel and you can load in lots and lots of data in parallel in an ingest at scale, okay? Here, I mean, it's a very small scale, very small amount quantity of data, but that's okay. I mean, it creates the pipeline for me. It provides all the steps to load that data in for me. Okay, so that's the creation phase. Now I actually start the pipeline to read that CSV file, load it into that table. And I mean, this, because it's such a small quantity of data, only 150 rows, three different species, 50 rows for each. If I run this command to monitor the pipeline, I mean, essentially it's completed before I can even run this, all right? But if you've got a larger quantity of data, for example, that you may be ingesting, then something like this could be helpful because it can monitor the progress of the ingest. And if there's some problems or errors, it can notify you, okay? So currently you can see no problems there. And then what I can do finally here at the bottom, and I'll adjust this because it's given me limit 100. And what I'd like to do is to actually read back everything, all 150 rows. And it's, very helpfully given me the select statement here as well to pull back all of the data. And there you can see I'm now querying that table, retrieving all 150 rows from that table. And you can see, as far as I can see, I mean, a quick scan of this, everything looks correct. So we've got the species, sepal length, sepal width, and that stores all 5 columns for me. And it's done that really fast. Okay, so this is a great way to get data in very quickly. And it generates the notebook for you. Essentially, it's done all the hard work for you, and you just need to run the code and ingest the data. Okay, so that's one possibility. Let me keep an eye on the time. Okay, I realize we're soon going to be finished. So one final thing, let me just show you then. If I just select the group for this, there we go. Okay, and again, same thing that I was looking at. At the top here, you've got a number of options. Okay, so stage is something that we use from the left-hand navigation pane. Now, in case you're wondering, that there are a couple of firewalls as well to keep the bad guys out, okay? And you can configure these. So this firewall here is specific to the workspace environment. There's another firewall that you have available within the notebook environment as well. And sometimes if you're trying to access external resources, the firewall will tell you that it's not part of its list. And would you like to add that particular domain to the list? So if you're trying to read some data, say from a Google Drive, it will prompt you, okay? If there was googleusercontent.com is not part of the list of approved sites that you have, you can add that very simply, okay? And it's very helpfully, it gives you the means to add that straight in. Down in the bottom here, though, you can see that we've got this kind of question mark. So if I click on this, there are tutorials available as well. And there's one of these, this one here on load your data. If I select this one, again, file system, I'll select this option here for cloud storage. And here you can see it says which cloud you want, provider you want to use, AWS, Microsoft, Google Cloud, and I'll select AWS here. And then again, it prompts me, what do you want? JSON file, CSV file, plain text, Avro, Parquet, and I'll say CSV. And then here, again, you can see I need to select my workspace. This is not supported on the shared tier, as you can see, just down below here. Okay, it's not a feature that's available there currently. I mean, that may change. And then what's the database that I want to use? And then enter a table. So I'll choose a slightly different table name. I'll call this Iris2, okay? And then just click next down the bottom here. And then here, it will prompt me for credentials, right? And I've already done this previously, but if I click on this add credentials here, you can see that there's a couple of things that I would need to add, things like the access key ID, secret key, and so on. Okay. So in this particular case, because I've already set this up previously, here, I don't need to worry about that. Let's click next. And then here, bear with me one moment, and let me just find the resource. Almost done. Okay, let me just show you this last part. There we go. Just find the path for that file.
And let's make this bigger and resume the share. Okay, so let me paste this here. There we go. So this is something I created and uploaded a little bit earlier on, and I'm just telling it it's a CSV format. Next. There we go. And it's accessed this Iris CSV file, which sits on an S3 bucket now. It's given me, what the structure is, shows me the values here. I just click next, and then it gives me the opportunity to just ingest this. There we go, like so. I just click on that. And here it's created the appropriate code for me, and it's done the ingest for me as well. Okay, so this is using the SQL editor. Again, this is just available from the left-hand side. And then you can see the SQL code here. I'm just going to select and run that using this button at the top here. Okay. And here down below, you can see that it's returning the values. Okay. It's created the columns for me automatically based upon that data. There we go. And that's really all I wanted to show you. So we do have, I realize we're almost at the top of the hour there, but the last thing, which again is pretty substantial here, is an example. This was something that I was working on a little bit earlier on. Abby mentioned the vector search. So this is something I used in a webinar not too long ago, actually, highlighting some of our new vector capabilities. This is using a data set from Zalando, okay, which is these items of clothing. This is, you can see here an image of an ankle boot. There's 10 different types of clothing. It's a 24 by 20, sorry, I think it's 24 by 24 pixel grayscale. Let me just go back here. 28 pixel by 28 pixel grayscale. And then just loading that data in and creating these kind of vector embeddings from it using this new vector data type that we support, and just storing that in SingleStore, creating this approximate nearest neighbor index, and then just doing a little bit of querying. And then you can see that all of this built into the notebook. I don't even have to leave this to write any SQL externally, and then just a little bit of a testing to see how accurate the results are. So ANN, as the name implies, is approximate, right? So basically, you give up accuracy, but what you get is tremendous speed, as opposed to KNN, okay? So if you're a data scientist, you'll understand. And then there's some bonus things down here. So we're just plotting some of the data and so on. And so it is really easy to do. I mean, Matplotlib, Plotly Express, Plotly, all of these pieces of software really work well. Okay, there we go. So hopefully that's been useful, and we will be happy to share the assets with you. But I realize we are exactly at the top of the hour, but looks like the Q&A is pretty clear in there. Abby, looks like you've been doing a great job answering the questions.